Okay. Hello and welcome to GagruleNet. This is GagruleLive on Facebook. Today we have a special guest. Before we go to our guest, is just like I want to talk a little bit about this gentleman. His name is Sarkis. I guess the way it's spelled Haspanian, and he was born in Turkey in 1962, emigrated to Europe, and then went to Armenia in 1990, where he was political activist and fighter in Artsakh. And during the event of March 2008, he was among the demonstrators who denounced the presidential election of Armenia, arrested, and he went in prison for 3 years. He was sick and he passed away. And I really didn't know anything about him, but he has so much those videos on the website, on YouTube, and I think everybody should go and have a look at and understand this guy, and I will put some of his videos as time come on, and I hope, and also there is this lady, Lucine Karjian, it's doing this change.org, trying to get enough signature to put them into Armenian cemetery for those heroes, just like Arlington Cemetery in US. Armenia has that. I think it was called Yorbaler or something like that. And so if you like the guy, if you know him, go there and sign the signature, help get them as place where he belongs. So that's really for that. I just want to say I feel sorry. I don't know if the guy is married, he has family or not. So our deepest sympathy, and I think losing such a guy, activist, doing lots of stuff for Armenia, it's heartbreaking. So that's for that. Now to our guest. What did I do here? Okay, so you're still there. That's good. All right. So I had two screens in there. So our guest he's a gun-carrying, Trump-loving, and Christian crusader. Now, I hope he correct me if I'm saying something wrong. Bedros, welcome. We'd love to have you here in GagruleLive. And please tell us who you are and what you do. And I'm sure lots of people know you. And we'll just go from there.
Well, thanks for the invitation. My name is Bedros Hajian. I've been a community activist for the past, let's say, 22 years. And before that I was, but not in public. I've been in rehabilitation business. I've been a chaplain for LA County Jail, which is world's largest jail. I've been a chaplain for 18 years. I was a chaplain, one of the senior chaplains actually. And I work in the community to rehabilitate future generations. And I also am involved in politics because I see politics have a lot to do with our daily life. And I'm also a theologian, PhD in theology.
Wow. That's quite a bit. I'm just trying here to bring you live here. Somehow I lost you and see if... Okay. All right. Okay. So thank you again. So religion, and I see you talk lots about religion. What do we Armenian have benefited from the religion? Like especially Christianity. Our 1915, the Russians and the British, they were both of them betrayed. They were both Christians. And there was the Arabs, the Muslims, who opened their doors, and most diaspora until about 10, 15 years ago were all from Middle East. They came. So we're stuck with this building so many churches, spending so much money on the churches. We have more churches than Turkey has embassies around the world. So what is your take on it?
Well, first of all, I'd like to know what's the definition of the prison when people of religion, when people talk about religion. I am not a religious person. I'm a man of faith who I believe in Jesus Christ. There's a big difference. Religion, there are multi-cultural religions. There are thousands of religions which lead to the same answer. Religion keeps people in fear. So I'm not pro-religion. I'm pro-faith, and I'm pro-faith in spirit and the life of spiritual life. There's a big difference. And as you said, 1915 we were Christians, and Britain and Russia, they were both Christians. But Christianity had nothing to do with our genocide. Christianity had nothing to do with our enslavement. Christian faith had nothing to do with it. It's the leaders that led us into fake religious aspect of life that led us into where we're at right now. So it depends. What do you mean by religion? I like to understand that part when people talk about religion, and same as Muslims. What's a religion? I don't understand the meaning when they say we're Christians. And I can give you a couple of definitions of Christianity. When Jesus Christ came on the earth, he rebuked religion. Actually, he spoke about the spiritual life, and he gave us the Holy Spirit in order for us to have a model and to follow and to be filled with the Holy Spirit, instead of being led by a letter of the law and just reading and saying this is how we follow and etc. That's not what Jesus Christ left us, unfortunately. But that's what we're led to by our leaders, by our religious leaders who are blind themselves. That's the answer I can give you. But I still like to know the definition of religion you said.
Well, I mean definition, because I guess there are several religions, which is Christian, Jews, Buddhists, Muslims. Right. But like people are becoming victim of this religion stuff. People take religion and use it as a tool. The Turkey used religion as a tool to massacre Armenians, and still Turkey is using now Islam as a tool, and saying even Pope is now inviting Erdogan to go back to Vatican. And in the same time, Erdogan is calling Vatican, the Pope is head of the Crusaders.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, those are religious words that religious terminologies that really has nothing to do with Christian faith specifically. And I can stand on my word. It really has nothing to do with Christian faith. Christian faith is not about fear. Christian faith is not about enslavement. If we study the history of Jews, which are way different than the biblical Jews, God's chosen Jews. I don't want to get into details, but if you study the history of Middle East at that region of first century during Jesus Christ, you would see 7 out of 10 Roman citizens were in enslavement. Jews were supposed to be free because they were chosen people. However, they were the slaves of the system because of the Pharisees that empowered them, enslaved them by the laws and religious laws that had nothing to do with the promise of God. So obviously, that's why they refused the only Savior. If you study the history of Christianity, how it took birth, you would see it contradicts the religion completely. It contradicts the Judaism, Islam, and current-day Christianity, which really doesn't rehabilitate or doesn't liberate the person spiritually. So I'm against the religion that they say. And Christian faith is a personal choice. The person can choose to believe or not believe. and cannot be enforced on anybody. We're not born Christians by our birth. We're met with Christ. We're introduced to the faith. Those are big different, giant differences between what we're taught and what reality is. So if you look at the history, you would see Jesus walked among people, and he rebuked specifically the Pharisees. Specifically, he rebuked them. He said, "You are children of Satan." That's what he said in Gospel of John, specifically. So he said, "If you do the will of my Father, you wouldn't be doing this all. You would believe in me." And so many examples he gave. So obviously, our leaders, our current day leaders, they lead us into blind faith and into religious fear that if we don't abide by certain rules, we are going to be punished, or if you have to pay 10% of your earning to the church, and you have to pay this to the church, that to the church. But then when incidents happen like Syria, Lebanon, or all over the world, the church is nowhere to be found. They're not Christian, that's why. And they don't represent Church of Christ or Christ himself. Specifically, they don't represent. So obviously, those that were leading us into our destiny of death in the desert, they were not Christians either, because they were religious rulers, which is a Kabbalah and dark forces. It has nothing to do with Christ.
Do you go to churches?
Pardon me?
Do you go to church?
At current time, I don't go to any church. I'm sorry, I don't go to any church right now. Because, and I can give you the reason why. I believe in Jesus Christ, but I believe the church today is apostate. And I can say that. Why? We have 1 million Armenians, 40 to 50% Armenians, we're talking about Armenians, since you said about 1915, are on the verge of genocide, cultural genocide, drug addiction. If the church was really filled with the Spirit, we wouldn't see those numbers. They're abandoned. Our future generations are abandoned by the church, not the political entities. They're supposed to be supported by the church. They're supposed to be helped by the church. They're supposed to be liberated by the church. But unfortunately, today's church is the same cabal that Pharisees were. And I don't believe in those churches. I believe in Jesus Christ alone, that came, died for my sins, and resurrected on the third day, and can fill us with the Holy Spirit. And it's not, and Jesus, I believe, doesn't tell us, bow your head down, let them kill you. He doesn't say that at all. He doesn't teach that. Our religious leaders taught that to us, apparently, but that's not the truth. That's not what Jesus taught.
Okay, well, so let's move on to Trump. You are a strong supporter of Trump. Why?
There are many reasons why. There are many reasons why. And one of the reasons I see, and it has nothing to do with Democrat or Republican, obviously. First of all, when he first came to power, and before he came to power, he spoke against big government. Whenever government is in control, people lose, unfortunately. Specifically, we see the contradiction of the Democrats today, how they are attacking on issues that they used to accept. Obama, for example, Obama deported more legal immigrants, not only illegal, legal immigrants, people that were married to citizens. He deported more than any president in history of the United States. But Obama, all of a sudden, is loved. All those current immigration laws that we see, it came from Obama himself. Didn't come from nowhere else. He was the implementation, and he was actually known in the Latin community, the activist community. He was well known as a chief deporter. And you can see it all over Google. But all of a sudden, mainstream media wants to dump all that dirty game on Obama, and I don't find that acceptable. I don't find that, because when Obama came in power, he first said, "I will make America great again." What do I understand that? Employment, against drugs, free from drug addiction. Do we know 80% of Americans, 80%, I'm not exaggerating, they're on some kind of depressive medication, and because of big government, because government has control of our lives, and it's enough. We need to be free from this government. And that's what he's fighting against. And when he fights against the government, the big government, of course, those that in power, that they will lose all their businesses, all their multi-billion dollars of money, of course they are going to attack the president. And I'm going to be in support of him. I don't see him as a racist. He was never racist when he had all those casinos. He employed all kinds of people. He wasn't a racist then. When he supported NAACP, the African American communities, he wasn't racist then. Every word this president says, all of a sudden he's a racist. It makes no sense in my book, and maybe it makes no sense in my book because I don't believe lots of the fake news that constantly spread through the minds of the people to enslave them further into fear and basically to enable the globalization of world society, which is against our national identity. We need to understand that.
So the best way to put you, like, because you don't like the Democrat, you don't like the Republican, but you like Trump, but is it fair to categorize you as libertarians?
I don't want to be labeled as anything. I'm just a Christian believer in Jesus Christ. I'm Armenian. I believe an Armenian should be number one, believer in faith, and number two, needs to be nationalist in an aspect of not racism, nationalist, meaning that to protect his own identity, his own national identity, and to fight for his identity, just like our freedom fighters fought in Artsakh, in Sassoon, in Musaler, everywhere. I believe an Armenian should have national identity, and we're at war against our identity as we speak. And my frustration is with the Armenian leadership, political leadership, that are leading us into Democrats and the policy of Democrats who's against our identity. They're trying to assimilate us. They're trying to destroy us. Those are not Armenian leaders. I can't call them anything but Armenian, unfortunately.
So what do you think about...
And I will say it to their face, like I'm saying it right now.
What do you think about the ANC, or American Armenian Assembly? Are those doing a good job?
Well, I'm not a critic of individual organizations.
But those are leadership.
Those are leadership into the word genocide. But what is it going to get us? I have no clue. We're losing our identity. Here's what it is. We're right now in the midst of cultural identity genocide in the United States as we speak. And our leaders constantly telling us to vote for Democrats who are in the leadership of who are leading us into our cultural identity genocide, specifically by spreading dirty Marxist communist ideology in our future youth, liberal ideology, who basically destroys us completely, anti-Christ identity leadership, based everything that they do, and then all of a sudden we'll see we have new identity. Homosexuals were born that way. You know, we're not here to argue born. We're not here to say they should be punished. I'm not here to do anything. As a Christian, I will fight to preserve my and my future generations, my children's generations, and Armenian generations' identity by speaking the truth. Because I can see what's happening. If I didn't work in prison system, if I didn't see all this chaotic system that is going on in jail, our identity being turned into gang culture, you know, our identity being do we know every week? How come Armenian news never? Every week we have 2 Armenians overdosing in Los Angeles. Overdose, literally on drugs. How come we never hear this?
How many
But then yet we
How many Armenians are there in the jail in Los Angeles area?
thousands,
Really?
thousands, and they're enslaved into probation, parole. Basically, there's a mass genocide going on here, which none of our leaders dare to talk about. Unfortunately, none of our leaders.
Okay. Who are those leaders you're talking about? So, can you put some finger on something?
Okay, I will. I don't necessarily want to name them, but I can say it this way. When there's a time for voting, a candidate comes and they say, this guy is Armenian, vote for him. And then we see the results of this candidate, what he did to our cause. Basically, they're pro 100% medications, 100% vaccinations, 100% gay pro movement to teach our kids from kindergarten that you're born that way, brainwash our kids, and what Turks didn't do, they do. To me, those are the leaders that we voted for. They're supposed to represent us. And the organizations that are standing behind it, lying to our people, saying that vote for him because he's going to pass the genocide war, while the real genocide is taking place, it's sad. Those are the leaders, unfortunately.
So do you speak
out? And I have no respect for them.
Do you speak out during the elections about specific candidates or what?
I do heavily, yes. Of course I do. And I have videotapes on that. And through my television show, I do. Yes, I do.
Yeah, I know this.
Against them, of course. And for now, to me, if a white American comes and tells me, I will not lead you people into, I will make the propaganda for them to vote a white American, black American, or Mexican American over an Armenian if they're going to lead us into the right direction, godly direction, nationalist direction. I would rather vote for them.
So what kind of Armenian American do you want to develop?
You know, we can take the role model of the Jews. And I'm going to say, Jews live in the United States, but then they support full-heartedly, and they make Israel one of the strongest nations in the world because they first believe in their cause, and then they're Americans. If you understand.
Yes.
Versus the leadership we have leading us into assimilation, adopting new ideologies that never existed in our race, and telling us, if you vote for a Democrat, if you vote for this president, like Obama, the liar, the biggest liar in the world, he's going to accept the word genocide. Do we care about that? I really don't care about that when the genocide is taking place. So what kind of Armenian Americans I'm looking for? I am actually praying to see Armenian Americans that will stand for, number one, Armenian cause, number two, the rest. Openly, I'm saying it.
Okay.
Not only the word genocide, not only getting up on April 24th, chanting 1915 never again, 1915 never again, you know, but doing the will of the people in reality, standing for your race, for your cause. And then America, of course, we live here. We have to abide by the rules.
Have you ever started an organization yourself?
Of course, I have few organizations, yes.
Oh.
I've had an organization, Armenian American Christian Outreach, for the past 20 years. And I've had one of the LA's biggest rehabs, where I housed many, many Armenians who were drug addicts. But unfortunately, I was attacked by our own leaders who called Sacramento and said, I'm housing too many people for free. And I was harassed because of the same leaders that don't want to see our future generations rehabilitated. I've seen abandoned prisons, Armenians, you know, I can give you one example. In a county jail, maybe there are about 10, 20 Jews and they have army of 400 working for those 20, versus we have hundreds and thousands of Armenians each day go through the jail system, and we don't have one person care for their families. So do you think this is not all pre-planned? I would say that.
Well, you are in it, so you know that. You're the expert, so
Right.
we take your word.
Right.
So I just don't know why people don't listen to people like you, who you are in it. I mean, you see those things every day.
Right.
And it's horrible to see so many Armenian, because you know that we always pride ourselves that we don't do this stuff, drugs and stuff. We're hardworking people. One thing that Armenians everywhere in the world, we pride ourselves that, but when you hear now there's so many of them in jail because of drugs, it's just very heartening, you know. It's
Mostly it's drugs, white collar crime. Too many issues we have. Too many issues.
is it possible to categorize those Armenians are the one came from Middle East or from Russia, Armenia, or it's mixed?
Maybe if you asked me 15 years ago, I would have. Right now, no. Right now, it's too deep. Let's put it this way. And then we have this mass propaganda of anti-Christian ethics that if we didn't become Christians, we would have preserved and kept our big land, which is a falsification of the whole history. And I can pinpoint that. So the only solution that can really, as a Christian faith, that can heal the individual that is doing drugs is Christ himself. They want to take that equation out. That's what I'm saying. Now, those that get up and bombard our community that because we became Christians, we're here, they either have no clue what's taking place or they have part of our genocide. Either one, I cannot make that.
Okay.
It's not because of Christianity we lost what we had. It was not. It was not at all.
Let's talk about Armenia.
Okay.
So what do you think going on with this? Always we hear oligarchies and controlling the country, and do you know anything about the fact about that? Is there oligarchies in Armenia?
Well, I'm not too familiar with that politics over there because I haven't been to Armenia at all.
Really?
And I know there are oligarchies there, yes, I know that. And I don't know their daily life or daily politics, so I cannot really comment on that. I know there is opposition, and they want, the opposition wants freedom. I can see that. However, some of this opposition have been funded by Soros, which is more dangerous. So I don't know the inner politics of Armenia because I haven't lived there, and I don't know the politics within the Armenia, who's telling the truth.
How come you never been in Armenia?
I haven't had the chance yet.
It's a nice place. I'm almost addicted to it. Every year I go.
Right. I'm going to go one of these days, but I haven't had chance yet.
Yeah, it's Yerevan. It's nice. I think this year they're going to do the 2800 year continuous city, probably older than even Vatican.
Well, I don't want to announce it on air, but hopefully I will go this summer. I will see.
That'd be good. Maybe I'll see you there.
Yeah. I will try my best.
So you don't get involved too much in Armenian politics?
Well, I'm not living in that country, so I don't know. I know people that are involved in that politics. They complain, they protest, but I can't say yes or no, so I stay neutral because I don't know who's telling the truth.
That's fair. That's fair.
And if I live there, I can say probably, but also we have to take in consideration Armenia, 29,000 square miles or kilometers, and Artsakh isn't even recognized by the world yet, and it's it's basically surrounded by enemies, including Russia, even though they try to say they're friends. So I don't think Armenia has friends either in the west or south or north or east. We're basically alone. And if I criticize the country itself, it's like criticizing a person who's a slave, who has fallen, and beating up more that person. Criticizing a person who's been incarcerated unjustly and humiliating that person more. So to me, Armenia is under major attack from all sides. And to get it up and in diaspora speak against Armenia, the only people will gain are the enemies. That's what I see.
Actually, I don't know if the Minister of Defense came to Los Angeles. I don't know if you heard or not. And I went there. I was invited, one of the journalists in the Armenian consulate. I mean, the guy was extremely impressive. Very smart, very intelligent. He had degrees from Russia, from US, from Armenia. He speaks bilingual, like 3 to 4 languages. He knows everything. So he was the one I met. When my visit in Yerevan, I interviewed a couple of people, Ministry of Diaspora and others. Seems to me there are smart people there, but what's going on, because all this oligarchy we hear, we can't put our finger on. Every time I go there and I just ask people, can you show me some, or here and there, they say, well, they don't want to talk about it. So how do you find out, like something wrong, if somebody doesn't hold your hand, says, here is what is wrong, So I keep going there and I keep looking, and I know it's a beautiful country. I know the villages definitely need help. But the cities, every time I go, but there's too many BMWs and Mercedes, but also there is too many people making $200 a month.
Right.
So anyway, I just thought maybe you know about Armenian too. So what happened to Trump? This text memory things was going to come out. Did come out, or still is hiding there?
Well, the Republicans want to reveal it, but apparently Democrats don't want to reveal it. But hopefully it will come out. They're fighting not to come out, and I think after that, FBI cannot really be trusted. I don't think I can trust the FBI myself, because they've framed lots of people. I worked in the prison systems. I've seen it with my own eyes. There are a lot of innocent individuals there, and they wanted to make a victim of Trump. And I have quite a few videos interviewing other individuals from La Rouge Pact that they stated specifically who was the liar, Christopher Steele, who was a British agent, a British spy, who basically lied and fabricated all this fake information. So I don't believe what they're saying is the truth, and I know 100% it can be fabricated. And the reason behind it, because Trump wants to rebuild America, and the enemies of America don't want to fix this.
So do you think any chance that Trump, before he finished the presidency, will recognize Armenian genocide?
I don't know how is that going to help.
I lost you again.